My name is Ivy Alexander. I'm 34 years old, and for a long time, I thought I was one of the luckiest women alive. When Marcus Hale proposed to me, we had been together for 3 years. 3 solid, complicated, real years. I'm a private person by nature. I built my logistics consulting firm from nothing, brick by brick, client by client. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. The kind of work that rewards patience and punishes shortcuts. Marcus was the opposite. He thrived on attention. He loved rooms full of people, polished conversations, and the subtle hierarchy of who mattered and who didn't. I told myself we balanced each other out. I brought stability, he brought sparkle. I believed that was what partnership looked like. I was wrong. The shift didn't happen all at once. It crept in quietly, disguised as excitement. Wedding planning, Marcus called it. But it wasn't planning, it was branding. Suddenly, our relationship wasn't about us anymore. It was about how we looked together. The wedding wasn't a celebration of commitment, it was a production, and Marcus was the star. His father, Richard Hale, hovered like a proud executive producer. His ex-girlfriend, Olivia, now somehow recast as his best friend and unofficial planner, lingered constantly, commenting, correcting, smiling a little too knowingly. They came from old money, the kind that never checks prices, only reputations. They tolerated me because I made Marcus look good, and because I paid. The venue, the band, the florist, the caterer, every deposit came from my account. Each time I suggested something simpler, Marcus would tilt his head, give me that practiced smile, and say, "It's just one day, Ivy. Don't you want it to be perfect?" Richard would chuckle softly. Let the boy have what he wants. Happy groom, happy life. The message was clear. I was the funding source, not the partner. The breaking point came at our engagement party. It was held at a luxury downtown hotel, packed with Marcus's friends, colleagues, and extended family. My side of the room was smaller. My parents, my sister, a few close friends who knew me before success had a price tag. Marcus stood in the center of the room, glass raised, laughing easily. Richard called for attention. "To my son," he said proudly, "and to Ivy, who's very lucky to be joining our family." Applause. Then Olivia laughed lightly and added, "So, Marcus, are you getting nervous yet?" Marcus took a slow sip of champagne. He looked at me, not warmly, not lovingly, but with a playful glint that felt sharp around the edges. "Nervous?" he said. "Please, she'll be lucky if I even show up to the wedding." The room exploded with laughter. Everyone thought it was funny. Everyone except my family. I didn't shout, I didn't cry, I didn't leave. Something inside me went very still. That wasn't a joke. It was a truth spoken out loud. I smiled, raised my glass, and said evenly, "To the groom, may he get everything he deserves." They cheered again, completely missing the meaning. But I understood it perfectly. And in that moment, a promise formed. Quiet, precise, unstoppable. Marcus had joked that his presence was optional. I decided to believe him. The 2 months between the engagement party and the wedding became my private education in restraint. Outwardly, I was flawless. I smiled when Marcus talked over me. I nodded when Olivia suggested changes that somehow always erased my fingerprints from the day. I agreed to every upgrade, every indulgence, every unnecessary flourish. I signed checks without hesitation. I played the role of the accommodating fiancé so well that even my own mother asked me once, quietly, if I was really okay. I told her I was fine. That wasn't a lie, it just wasn't the full truth. Inside, something had shifted. I wasn't hurt anymore. Hurt implies hope. What I felt was clarity, cold, sharp, and incredibly energizing. Marcus and his family mistook my silence for submission. They thought they had won. They had no idea I was counting every step they took. My first move was invisible. Late one night, after Marcus had fallen asleep scrolling through wedding inspiration on his phone, I spread every contract across the dining table. Venue, catering, band, photographer, florist, transportation. I cross-referenced invoices with bank statements. The result made my pulse slow, not race. Nearly 80% of the non-refundable deposits came from my personal accounts. Not joint funds, not family contributions, mine. That was when I understood something fundamental. They weren't just planning a wedding, they were standing on my money. And that meant the entire structure could be moved without their permission. The plan didn't arrive fully formed. It unfolded, piece by piece, as if my mind had been preparing for it long before I consciously knew. Marcus had laughed about not showing up. I was going to create a wedding where his presence didn't matter at all. Not revenge, rebalancing. I hired a second wedding planner under the guise of logistical backup. Her name was Clara, and discretion radiated from her like perfume. When I told her the truth, she went quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "So, you want 2 weddings?" "Yes," I replied. "One illusion, one real." She smiled, slow, professional, impressed. "I'm in." We secured a second venue for the same date, a vineyard an hour outside the city. Elegant, understated, genuine. No chandeliers screaming for attention, no marble floors begging to be photographed. Just open air, good wine, and people who knew who I was without a spotlight. Then came the information war. The official wedding website, the one Marcus refreshed obsessively, stayed exactly the same. Ashford Estate, grand ballroom, black tie spectacle. But Clara and I built a second private site, different address, different schedule. Same fonts, same paper, same illusion of unity. The guest list was surgical. Marcus's friends, his colleagues, his social circle, his father's associates, all sent to Ashford. My family, my friends, and a small handful of Marcus's relatives, the quiet ones, the kind ones, the ones who had always treated me like a human being, invited to the vineyard. The vineyard invitations included one small request: no social media until the following day. Everyone agreed without question. That alone told me everything I needed to know about who truly respected me. Managing the vendors was the most delicate operation. I contacted them one by one, calm voice, polite concern. I explained there had been an unavoidable logistical shift. I offered a generous inconvenience fee. Money did the rest. Contracts were quietly amended. Communication rerouted through Clara and me. Ashford Estate was last. I didn't cancel. I scaled back. No orchestra, no full dinner service, no elaborate florals, just the hall, a bar, light appetizers, and a sound system. I invented a family emergency that required budget adjustments. The manager was disappointed, but accommodating. The contract reflected the change. Marcus never noticed. Why would he? He thought control looked like confidence. The night before the wedding, he kissed my forehead and said, "Tomorrow's going to be the best day of my life. Ready to be Mrs. Hale?" I met his eyes. "I'm ready for a day I'll never forget." He smiled. He thought the joke was still on me. I woke up on the morning of the wedding before my alarm went off. No nerves, no dread, just a strange, steady calm, like the quiet before a decision becomes irreversible. I went for a run while the city was still half asleep, the air cool against my skin. Every step felt deliberate, grounded. This wasn't avoidance. This was alignment. By the time I returned, showered, and dressed, my hands were steady. I sent Marcus a single text. "Can't wait to see you today. This is the start of everything." He replied almost instantly. A cascade of heart emojis, a selfie in his robe. Best day ever. On the surface, we were perfectly in sync. Behind the scenes, reality was already splitting in two. Marcus's morning unfolded exactly as he had imagined. The hotel suite buzzed with energy. Stylists, photographers, friends popping champagne. Olivia floated through the room like she belonged there, adjusting cufflinks, offering opinions, reminding everyone where to stand. Marcus soaked it in. He posted constantly. Final countdown. Future Mr. Hale. Big day vibes. He was building a narrative in real time, broadcasting his importance to the world. Meanwhile, I met my people. My parents hugged me longer than usual. My sister squeezed my hand and whispered, "Whatever happens today, I'm proud of you." My friends didn't ask questions. They trusted me. That trust settled into my chest like armor. At 2:00, Marcus and his groomsmen headed for Ashford Estate. At 2:00, I got into a car and drove in the opposite direction. The vineyard appeared like a secret you only find when you stop trying to impress anyone. Rolling hills, soft light, glasses already clinking. Clara met me with a nod. Not celebratory, not conspiratorial, just professional respect. "They're posting nonstop," she said quietly. "Everything's on track." Guests began to arrive. My family, my friends. Laughter drifted easily through the air. No one checked their phones. No one rushed. There was no pressure to perform happiness. It simply existed. It felt real. Back at Ashford, the illusion started to crack. Marcus arrived at 4:30 p.m., expecting a spectacle. Instead, the hall felt oddly bare. Minimal decor, a single bar, Soft background music instead of a live band. People murmured. Confusion crept in. Marcus frowned, pulling out his phone. "Did something change?" he asked Olivia. She scanned the room, her confidence faltering for the first time. "That's strange." And then they saw the sign. Large, elegant, centered perfectly in the entrance hall. Printed in the same script as the invitations. Guests stopped mid-step. Conversations died in their throats. Marcus read it once, then again. His smile didn't fade, it collapsed. At the vineyard, I was handed a microphone. The crowd quieted naturally, not because they were told to, but because they wanted to listen. "I know some of you thought you were coming to a wedding," I began. "So did I, once." Soft laughter, warm understanding. 3 months ago, my fiancé joked that I'd be lucky if he even showed up to our wedding. A pause. And I realized he was right. I was lucky, not because of him, but because I finally saw the truth. I raised my glass. Today isn't a wedding, it's a celebration. Of self-respect, of honesty, of new beginnings. Cheers erupted, real ones, the kind you feel in your bones. As music swelled and glasses clinked, my phone, powered off, face down, vibrated uselessly in my bag. Somewhere else, Marcus's world was unraveling. At Ashford Estate, time slowed to something cruel. Marcus stood frozen in front of the sign, his mouth opening as if words might appear on their own. Around him, guests leaned in closer, rereading the elegant script as realization spread like a stain. Whispers turned into murmurs. Murmurs sharpened into disbelief. His mother's hand flew to her chest. "What is this?" she whispered. Richard Hale stepped forward, face darkening with every line he read. The color drained from his cheeks, then rushed back in a furious red. He turned toward the event manager, already raising his voice, already demanding answers. Marcus pulled out his phone and started calling me. Once, twice, again. Straight to voicemail. The message played calmly, professionally, my voice steady, unhurried. "You've reached Ivy Alexander. I'm currently unavailable, celebrating a very special day with the people who truly matter to me. If you're calling from Ashford Estate, please enjoy the event. You've earned it." The room erupted. Guests began leaving, fast. No one wanted to be caught in someone else's humiliation. Phones came out anyway. Texts were sent. Screenshots circulated. The joke Marcus had once made so easily had turned into a public reckoning. Olivia broke down first. Not over Marcus, over the ruined posts, the captions she'd written, the content she'd planned. Her carefully curated image collapsed in real time. Richard argued with staff, waiving amended contracts he hadn't bothered to read before today. The photographer packed up, demanding his day rate. The band never arrived. The spectacle evaporated, leaving behind nothing but echoing footsteps and wounded pride. Across town, the vineyard glowed. We danced. We laughed. My father spun my mother like they were 20 again. My sister cried into her wine, smiling through it. My friends surrounded me, not to protect me, but to celebrate me. For the first time in months, I wasn't managing anything. I wasn't performing. I wasn't accommodating. I was just there. Clara caught my eye and gave a small nod. "It's done," she said. "I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them." That night wasn't about Marcus. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about reclaiming the space I had been shrinking myself to fit into. Somewhere near midnight, I stepped outside alone. The air smelled like grapes and summer and possibility. I felt light, strangely unburdened by the chaos I knew was unfolding elsewhere. Marcus wanted attention. He had it. Just not the kind he could survive. I kept my phone off for a full 24 hours. That wasn't strategy. That was self-preservation. The morning after the vineyard celebration was quiet and ordinary in the best possible way. Coffee with my parents. A slow walk between the rows of vines. My sister teasing me about how I'd managed to look so calm while orchestrating what people would later call the wedding that never happened. When I finally turned my phone back on, it felt heavier than it ever had. Hundreds of missed calls. Text messages stacked on top of each other like debris after a storm. Marcus, Richard, Olivia, friends of friends, numbers I didn't recognize. The tones shifted wildly, rage, panic, bargaining, apology, sometimes all from the same person within minutes. I didn't respond. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. The financial consequences hit first. Richard tried to dispute the charges with Ashford Estate, but the amended contract was airtight. The scaled-back event was exactly what had been agreed to, just not what he had assumed. He was responsible for the bar tab, the staffing costs, and the embarrassment of realizing money didn't equal control. The real damage, though, came from the vendors Marcus and his family had hired independently. The custom suit, the stylists, the transportation, the bridal party services Olivia had coordinated so proudly. Those contracts were all in Marcus's name. Every one of them demanded payment in full. My lawyer sent a single, precise letter to Richard Hale. It outlined the original deposits I had paid, money I would never recover. It itemized the shared expenses Marcus had charged to our joint account before I closed it, and it ended with one clear statement. The Bank of Ivy Alexander is permanently closed. Social consequences were faster and harsher. The story spread beyond our circle. People repeated Marcus's engagement party joke with a different tone now. He became the man who laughed too loudly and learned too late. Invitations stopped coming. Calls went unanswered. Olivia's online presence took a visible hit. Comments disabled, collaborations quietly withdrawn. 2 weeks later, I received a small package at my office. It was from Marcus's aunt, the one I'd invited to the vineyard. Inside was a handwritten card. Ivy, I am deeply sorry for my family's behavior. What you did took courage. Thank you for showing me what self-respect looks like. I cried then, not from sadness, from release. I agreed to meet Marcus one final time. We chose a neutral coffee shop. He arrived early, shoulders slumped, the confidence stripped clean away. He apologized. He said it was a joke. He said the wedding pressure changed him. He asked what he could do to fix it. I listened. Then I shook my head. It wasn't a joke, I said quietly. It was how you saw me. I was the funding, not the partner. And a marriage without respect is just a transaction. I don't make bad investments. He had no answer. I stood, wished him well, and walked out. That was the last time I ever spoke to Marcus Hale. I heard later that he and his father barely speak now, that the embarrassment cost them more than money, that Marcus moved away, trying to outrun a story that follows him anyway. As for me, the vineyard celebration wasn't an ending. It was a declaration. I spent a lot of money on a wedding that never happened, but it bought me something priceless. Clarity, freedom, self-respect. I learned that the right partner doesn't make you feel lucky to be chosen. They make you feel safe to be yourself.